The film opens with gripping scenes from the Chinese War during World War I. As the German army advances, the Chinese troops suffer a crushing defeat, causing many soldiers to abandon the battlefield. Amidst the chaos, Chen Zhen, a brave soldier who served as a cannonball filler, remains on the front line. Initially, Chen Zhen had no intention of engaging in combat, but witnessing the brutal loss of his fellow countrymen compels him to unleash his extensive kung fu skills to fight the remaining enemy troops. With his unwavering determination and unmatched martial arts expertise, Chen Zhen becomes a formidable force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Chen Zhen started his military journey as a mere support to the troops during the First World War. However, it was during this war that he displayed his exceptional skills in battle, which earned him a legendary status among soldiers. A few years later, he returned to Shanghai, but under the guise of his dead best friend. He did this to conceal his true identity as a war hero, fearing that his reputation would attract unwanted attention. Nonetheless, he had a mission in mind to help save his country, which was being invaded by the Japanese army. As he walked the streets of Shanghai, people whispered about Chen Zhen's death, believing that he had been executed by the Japanese army. Unbeknownst to them, he was right there, fighting for his country. The setting shifts to a luxurious casino in Shanghai, which is owned by the influential Chinese businessman Liu Yudian. The casino boasts a team of talented performers, including the stunning Fang Qing, whom Mr. Liu treats like his own kin. Despite the political turmoil of the time, with China being occupied by the Japanese, Mr. Liu's casino remains unaffected. He is known for his business acumen, catering to visitors from both Japan and China, making it a haven for the wealthy and powerful. His establishment is neutral, and he prioritizes profits over patriotism. The atmosphere in the casino was festive, with guests dancing and enjoying the melodies of Fang Qing's Chinese songs. However, tensions rose when a Japanese soldier requested that she sing their national anthem. As Fang Qing obliged, the Chinese guest stepped away from the dance floor, revealing the growing animosity between the two nations. Suddenly, the music stopped, and all eyes turned to Chen Zhen, who had just entered the room. He had come to the casino to meet with Mr. Liu, a well-respected figure in Shanghai. Chen Zhen believed that by forming an alliance with Mr. Liu, he could gain the support needed to fight against the Japanese occupation. As night fell, Chen Zhen met with the elite group of the Japanese regime, where he revealed his true identity and explained why he had returned to China to defend his country. Meanwhile, the leader of the Japanese army, Colonel Takeshi Chikarashi, received news that their attack plan against China had been leaked. Takeshi was enraged and suspected that one of his 3 trusted generals had betrayed him. In a display of his unwavering stance, Takeshi chose to execute all 3 generals, believing that anyone who follows him must be willing to die at any moment. Unbeknownst to Takeshi, Chen Zhen had learned of the Japanese troops' plans to assassinate one of General Zheng's sons, who was meeting with General Zhu, the northern ruler. Chen Zhen knew that he had to act fast to stop the assassination and protect the southern ruler's family. The stakes were high as the assassination of General Zheng's son would not only result in the loss of a valuable military leader but also spark a civil war between the 2 biggest camps in China. The chaos would further weaken the country's already strained national defense and play right into the hands of the Japanese army. Chen Zhen understood the gravity of the situation and knew that he had to act swiftly. In a bold move, he donned a mask and became a masked hero, ready to take on the assassins sent by Colonel Takeshi. As night fell, Chen Zhen's fighting skills and kung fu moves proved to be too much for the assassins, and he was able to foil their attempt with ease. Back at the Japanese soldiers' headquarters, Takeshi was livid upon hearing that their plan had failed. He immediately ordered his men to uncover the masked man's identity, determined to bring him to justice. As word of the masked man's bravery spread, he became a legend in the eyes of the Chinese people. Newspapers and media outlets praised his heroic deeds, and young children began to idolize him. Many even went so far as to don masks similar to the one worn by Chen Zhen, eager to emulate their newfound hero. One day at Mr. Liu's bustling casino, Chen Zhen was deep in conversation with some friends when the casino owner himself approached, eager to discuss the mysterious masked man who had captured the public's attention. Mr. Liu was convinced that the hero everyone was talking about bore a striking resemblance to Chen Zhen, but the latter just chuckled and remained tight-lipped, determined to keep his identity a secret. Unbeknownst to Chen Zhen, a beautiful singer by the name of Vivian had been surreptitiously observing his every move as he chatted with Mr. Liu. Meanwhile, at the Japanese headquarters, 2 spies, Fang Qing and Vivian, were busy feeding Takeshi every piece of information they could gather. When Vivian reported that she had uncovered a possible connection between Chen Zhen and the masked man, Takeshi wasted no time in assigning Fang Qing to get closer to Chen Zhen and uncover the truth. The following day, after finishing her shift at the casino, Fang Qing approached Chen Zhen and offered to take him for a walk. Oblivious to her true intentions, Chen Zhen accepted her offer, unaware that he was being led right into the hands of the enemy. As they walked, Fang Qing accompanied Chen Zhen to a meeting with a group of Chinese elites who were fiercely opposed to the Japanese occupation regime. Surprisingly, Fang Qing found herself feeling more and more at ease in Chen Zhen's company, despite her mission to betray him. It was during this meeting that Chen Zhen introduced her to his younger sister Wei Wei, further strengthening the bond between them. However, Fang Qing's suspicions were aroused when she overheard Chen Zhen's drunken friends discussing the legendary warrior named Chen Zhen, who they claimed was still alive and well. Her doubts were confirmed when she saw a photograph of Chen Zhen with his friends during the First World War, making it clear to her that he was the only one capable of defeating dozens of opponents alone. With this realization, Fang Qing's further strengthening her suspicions on Chen Zhen. Fang Qing was in a tight spot when she accidentally dropped a gun from her bag, raising suspicion from Chen Zhen about her true identity. Meanwhile, Takeshi received a letter from Tokyo containing names of people who opposed Japanese rule in China. For Takeshi, these people were mere sacrifices to fulfill Japan's imperial dream. His men spread leaflets on the streets with the names on the list to find them quickly and terrify the Chinese people. A few days later, Takeshi unexpectedly showed up at Mr. Liu's casino, claiming he was looking for a woman. Fang Qing and another woman were summoned to his table, but Chen Zhen, fearing for Fang Qing's safety, rushed to intervene. However, Takeshi surprised him by matching his face to that of Chen Zhen's best friend, whose identity he had assumed. Takeshi claimed to know all of Chen Zhen's identities and demanded to know the masked man's identity. But Chen Zhen remained composed and answered all his questions. Takeshi wasn't convinced and challenged Chen Zhen to bet on the elite Chinese names on the list his men had spread, threatening to kill them openly. Takeshi proposed a wager. He would bet on how many of the names the masked man could save. Chen Zhen smiled and Takeshi formalized the bet by tossing a coin. Reporters swarmed around them to learn more. As the days passed, the people on the list started to get killed one by one. Chen Zhen refused to give up and did everything in his power to protect them. However, Takeshi's men attacked one of his friend's news agencies, resulting in Chen Zhen witnessing his friend's death. Fueled by rage, Chen Zhen started to fight back against those who attacked his friend's office. Chen Zhen was lost in thought about his relationship with Fang Qing when he noticed her cigarette butt in the ashtray. He had recently discovered that a female singer at the casino was a Japanese spy, slipping information on Chinese soldiers using cigarette butts and money. Chen Zhen realized that Fang Qing often used the same brand of cigarette, despite claiming to not smoke. It dawned on him that she was also a spy. Chen Zhen summoned Fang Qing to his house and threatened her, expressing his disgust at her betrayal. He vowed to finish her with his own hands and left her trembling in fear. But as he walked home alone, he was suddenly kidnapped and taken to a torture chamber by Japanese soldiers, where he was stripped naked and subjected to unbearable pain. Once Chen Zhen was captured by the Japanese army, the masked man who once defended the oppressed Chinese people vanished without a trace. Left without a protector, the Chinese people decided to take matters into their own hands and seek justice. The Japanese regime and their supporters teamed up with the police chief to blow up Takeshi's headquarters, sparking a massive riot between China and Japan. Meanwhile, Chen Zhen was facing the electric chair when Takeshi paid him a visit. It was then revealed that Takeshi had been seeking revenge on Chen Zhen all along. He was driven by the fact that Chen Zhen, a legendary Chinese soldier who had decimated most of the Japanese troops during World War I, had killed his father. Upon discovering this, Takeshi was eager to torture Chen Zhen. After confronting Chen Zhen and learning of his legendary military accomplishments, Takeshi realized that revenge could not be attained through torture. Instead, he proposed a one-on-one fight with Chen Zhen in front of all the Japanese soldiers. According to Takeshi, this was the only way to restore his father's good name and honor in the eyes of the Japanese army. Takeshi ordered his men to release Chen Zhen so that he could prepare for their upcoming battle. In just a few days, the fate of both men would be decided in a fierce and epic showdown. As Takeshi returned from the place of torture, he was horrified to find that his headquarters had been destroyed. In a frantic rush, he made his way to the headquarters of the Chinese resistance, which he had learned the location of from Fang Qing, a prisoner he had taken earlier. Once there, Takeshi unleashed his wrath upon the captured resistance fighters, subjecting them to excruciating torture before ultimately killing them all. Even Wei Wei, who had also been taken captive, was kept alive to be used as a sex slave by one of the Japanese generals. The following day, Wei Wei appeared broken and terrified, having been harassed by a Japanese colonel. Her fear reached new heights as she opened the door and was met with the sight of the resistance fighters hanging from trees after being tortured to death by the Japanese soldiers. The brutality of Takeshi and his men had struck fear into the hearts of all those who dared to resist the Japanese regime. After emerging from a coma, Chen Zhen was horrified to learn about the current situation in China. The deaths of his colleagues were just the beginning. Innocent Chinese citizens were being found dead on the streets as well. Even General Zheng, who had been saved by Chen Zhen in the past, had chosen to betray China and align himself with the Japanese forces. In an effort to gather more information, Chen Zhen visited Mr. Liu's casino, where he was approached by Fang Qing. However, Chen Zhen's hopes for an ally were quickly dashed when it was revealed that Fang Qing was wearing a Japanese general's uniform and had been ordered to take Chen Zhen to fight against Takeshi at the new Japanese headquarters. Chen Zhen, who was also there at the time, didn't want to trouble Mr. Liu, so he calmly complied with Fang Qing's request. But before they left, Mr. Liu killed the Japanese soldiers who were visiting his casino. With his fate hanging in the balance, Chen Zhen made a quick stop at his old house to retrieve his old clothes before heading off to his final battle against Takeshi. As he left, the residents of the neighborhood immediately recognized him as the masked man who had been fighting for their freedom all along. Upon arriving at the battlefield, Chen Zhen was confronted by Takeshi, who wasted no time in killing Fong Qing. The brutal and senseless violence of the Japanese forces was further demonstrated when one of the colonels who had raped Chen Zhen's little sister came forward to taunt him about her condition. Chen Zhen was enraged when he saw the Japanese colonel disrespecting his fellow countrymen. Without hesitation, he attacked the colonel with all his might, landing blows all over his body. The Japanese soldiers were quick to retaliate and swarmed Chen Zhen. However, he fought back fiercely and was able to take down dozens of them. After the chaos had settled, Chen Zhen was left standing and faced Takeshi, who was waiting for him to duel. Although Chen Zhen was still recovering from torture wounds, he refused to back down. Takeshi was a formidable opponent and put up a good fight, but Chen Zhen was determined to honor his fallen friends and fight for China's independence. With his mind focused, Chen Zhen set up his stance and attacked Takeshi with full force. Takeshi tried to defend himself, but his defenses eventually faltered, and Chen Zhen was able to strike all of his weak points, ultimately killing him. The movie draws to a close with a glimpse into Chen Zhen's life a few days after his epic fight with Takeshi. While he was riding his motorcycle through the streets of China, Chen Zhen received word that a new Japanese colonel had arrived from Tokyo, accompanied by a battalion of soldiers. Chen Zhen knew that his role as a masked hero was not yet over. In a flash, Chen Zhen changed into his hero attire and climbed to the top of a building to keep watch over Shanghai. From there, he monitored the movements of the Japanese soldiers, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Moral lesson that we can learn from this movie is to stand up for what is right, even if it means standing alone, because one person can make a difference and inspire others to follow.